Hey guys, welcome to History Behind the Warrior, and today we're going to be talking about Havik. Just before the video starts, I'd like to talk about this petition that has recently been going around. A Mortal Kombat fan should listen to this because this is quite interesting for you guys. Some of you will know the existence of this, some of you won't know the existence of this. But there has recently been a Mortal Kombat Encyclopedia book going around, but it is still in its early stages, and could do with a little bit more support, as they're only 500 off from the 7,000 they need now. So please look in the description below and sign the petition please, as it's essentially an encyclopedia book made for Mortal Kombat fans, and will contain information about characters I haven't even touched yet. But anyway guys, let's cut back to the video. Now what makes Havik so unique in the universe of Mortal Kombat is the fact that he's the only person to ever come from the Chaos Realm, which is what you can tell by the name as somewhere that has been engulfed by madness. Now although Havik makes his series debut in Mortal Kombat Deception, he came in contact with Serjenko, who was currently looking for the Chaos Kamidogu, and assisted the young man. During the events of Deception, Havik sensed the return of the Dragon King Onaga, and he saw him as a possible threat to Havik's own philosophy being the never-ending turmoil of life. Wanting the realms to continue suffering but not wanting them to die, Havik would create his own plans. Now on his journey, he would find a severely wounded Cabal, as he was just defeated by the Red Dragon leader Movado. Havik would heal Cabal's wounds and manipulate him into reforming the former glory of the Black Dragon clan. But this time, under Havik's control, he would promote anarchy. Now on their journey, they would also recruit two new people, being Kira and Cobra. He also revealed to his Black Dragon allies his plan, that once Onaga was defeated, the Black Dragon would sweep into battle and kill the victors, which would then consume the heart of Onaga, giving him the ability to resurrect the undead. But things didn't go to plan, and these events never happened. Now Havik does appear during the Battle of Armageddon, but he does die, much like a large majority that participate. Now, Havik does return in the new timeline, but it's strictly in the comic books, which is, might I also add, canon. Now after Shinnok was defeated, Havik was approached by Quan Chi, saying that in return for powerful blood magic, Havik would reclaim Shinnok's amulet. Havik would agree to this, but secretly want to betray Quan Chi. Havik would also create the false prophecy of Reiko blood reigns, which in turn allowed him to sway and manipulate the Outworld General. And he falsely told Reiko that he was destined for greatness, saying that the man could become a god, when in reality he was nothing more than a simple tool. Now with the ability to control blood magic, Havik could enslave anyone that was cut with the Kamidogus, and the first person he would possess would be the recently resurrected Sub-Zero, who was only recently cut by one of the daggers during a battle with Kano. Now just the FYI for the Kamidogus we're talking about here. Unlike their predecessors in the original timeline, the current ones have the properties of blood magic, and the individual daggers have been handed to trusted warriors, so that they will be kept safe and out of dangerous hands. But unfortunately, due to Havik's ability to now manipulate blood magic, those daggers are being used against their owners. Now Havik became obsessed with recruiting the former Hellfire Wraith Scorpion to his side, as he wanted Hanzo Hasashi as a fellow agent of chaos, despite now that Hanzo had in fact turned his back on his days of being a wraith, and reformed the previously dead Shira Ryu, attempting to atone for his sins. Havik finally set his plans in motion, first starting off with the destruction of the Shira Ryu. Havik was able to possess Fox and have him slaughter the Shira Ryu, leaving only Hanzo and Takeda alive. Havik's plan was essentially to keep tugging at Hanzo's heart, forcing him to become Scorpion again and again until the Hell Spectre eventually controlled him. Now though the possessed Fox was successful in tapping into Hanzo's Hellfire, he would be killed by Takeda. Now when Hanzo went to see Raiden about the possessed Kamidogu, he'd be attacked by the god, as not even Raiden was safe of Havik's possession. Raiden was able to shake it off however and regain control, but in secret Havik just wanted to hear what Raiden had to say, biding his time when he wanted to enslave him once more. Now during the Outworld Civil War, Reiko would align himself with Melina, manipulating what was going on in the shadows with the assistance of Havik, purposely pushing Kotal Khan to the very edge, by even having his father murdered by Goro. Due to a mix of desperate times and rage, Kotal would cut himself with the Kamidogu, giving in to the properties of blood magic. Now after Kotal was victorious with defeating Goro, Reiko would manipulate Melina into ditching him, as Goro was a loose end and the only reason this battle happened was because they wanted to push Kotal into tapping into blood magic. Now at some point, possessed Sub-Zero would be confronted by Hanzo and Takeda. A battle would commence with Havik trying to force Hanzo to turn into Scorpion. and he was partially successful, until Takeda snapped him out of it. Havik would then travel to Shang Tsung's island, where he's given a Kami Dogu by Scarlet. Now Scarlet does discuss her interest of blood magic, and he says that he will teach her if she can prove how worthy she is, and pits her against the imprisoned Cassie Cage and Jackie Briggs. When Reiko returns back from Earthrealm, the cleric is presented with another one of the Kami Dogus, and reveals to Reiko that they're only missing one now, as Raiden has 3 and he has 2 in his possession. He would then head to Earthrealm and disguise himself, as he knew Hanzo and Takeda were on their way to a temple. He got there before they did and corrupted the Guardian Shigenko. When Havik meets the two, he is almost attacked, but Shigenko manages to convince them that he's in fact just a normal priest. Eventually the two split up, with Havik getting Hanzo and Shigenko getting Takeda, in which Hanzo begins talking to the cleric about what's happening with the Kami Dogus, as the temple they're inside houses the Chaos Realm's Kami Dogu. Now when Hanzo reaches out to claim the Kami Dogu, Havik says that he is a fool for thinking that Shigenko would leave the actual one on display. When Hanzo demands that Havik hands over the real one, Havik reveals his true identity and sets Shigenko on Takeda. Hanzo in retaliation snaps and changes into a scorpion persona, in which he then apparently kills Havik, but due to the blood magic that Havik now possesses, he is able to regenerate, and when he strikes Hanzo, he goes flying through the chamber doors. Havik then offers his hand to Hanzo, saying that he could be more than a mortal and an agent of chaos. Though Hanzo says no at first, Havik threatens to make Takeda his puppet instead. Havik then tries to tempt Hanzo into switching into a scorpion persona, and begins beating him to death to try and get the scorpion persona to take over. But due to Hanzo's strong will, he is able to suppress it and in fact dies. Takeda then rushes to his side, and Havik is confused as he thought by doing this Scorpion would emerge. But Takeda reveals that Hanzo would never allow that, and swears vengeance against the Chaos Cleric. Now when Havik returns back to Shang Tsung's island, he finds out a war has broken out between Melina, Reiko and Kotal Khan's forces. As Reiko is about to be killed for the second time, he summons before him Raiden, who uses his lightning to immobilize everyone, which leads to the capture of Kotal Khan, Melina and Cassie's parents, as Havik requires their blood for his ritual. Now Reiko sits on his throne as he's being prepared to become a blood god, and Havik presents him with the Goblet of Champions blood, which contains the blood of his enemies. And when Reiko drinks this, Havik and the other blood-controlled slaves stab Reiko with the Kami Dogus. After this, Reiko has essentially become somewhat of a blood god, but things quickly turn south for him as his body begins tearing itself apart, and Havik plunges his thumbs into Reiko's eyes, revealing to him that he was in fact never a candidate for godhood, but simply a sheep that needed to be sacrificed for Havik to gain what he really needed, in which he then smashes Reiko's skull to reveal it contained the Amulet of Shinnok, in which he then cuts the captured champions, having them all be enslaved to the Blood Code. Havik then reveals that he wishes to destroy the Netherrealm, as he considers it a great evil, and reveals that he cannot touch Earthrealm due to Raiden putting a barrier around it, but he does turn to Ermac and says that he will use his souls in order to change that. But Takeda would arrive and a battle would erupt. Although Takeda is holding his own, he is ultimately outnumbered, which leads to him being overwhelmed. Luckily, Devora and Kotal's forces arrive, evening out the battle and allowing Takeda to fight Havik one-on-one, but was ultimately overpowered due to Havik's control of blood magic and being in possession of Shinnok's amulet. Havik was slowly torturing Takeda, and as he was about to kill him, Havik's head was suddenly severed from his body, and he was staring into the face of Hanzo Hisashi. The two would then be teleported to the Netherrealm, and this in turn would sever Havik's mind control. Havik's severed head was taken to the gates of the Netherrealm, where Scorpion tossed it to the Oni, Moloch and Dramin. Havik would run to Hanzo, saying that he would be responsible for the death of everyone he knew around him, but this fell on deaf ears, and Hanzo left. Havik was then taken before Quan Chi, and Havik began screaming at him, saying that everything was doomed and everything would descend into chaos. This proved to be Havik's last words, as Quan Chi crushed his head under his boot, ending the reign of chaos once and for all. And that's really it for Havik, guys. I have to admit, I'm really happy that they did a lot of good stuff with this character, because in the original timeline he suffered a lot from the untapped potential syndrome, so it's great to see that he's finally getting flushed out the way he should have been. Now this has been one of the longer videos I've done in a very long time, and I'm glad that I have, as I wanted to take time to do this character justice. But that's really me for now, guys. Now if you would please at some point sign that petition, and as always comment, like, subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.